Welcome back. You're watching Business Morning on Channels Television. Remember, you can be part of ongoing conversations on Twitter. We're at Biz Morning, at Channels TV, or you can tweet at me at CTV Harriet or at B Bosin. Be glad to mind your business. Of course, you can also send us an email on businessmorning@channelstv.com. Yes, there you have the handles you can tweet at Channels TV and at Biz Morning. And you can also tweet at Harriet Agbe, at CTV Harriet and at B Bosin. Now, the new tariffs approved for electricity consumers across the country will become effective on Monday, February 1st. According to the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, this will enable power distribution, generation and transmission companies to acquire the much-needed infrastructure. The lack of cost-reflective tariffs, they say, have hindered electricity companies from acquiring the necessary infrastructure, adding that these new tariffs would not have any excuse for not delivering on agreements entered into with the government. But how prepared are we to start paying these new tariffs by February 1? Let's talk to the Executive Director, Association of Nigerian Electricity Distributors, Sunday Uduto. Good morning to you, Mr. Uduto. Thank you for coming on the show.
Good morning.
So, February 1, we're practically counting down. It's about less than 72 hours to February 1. Exactly. And then this new tariffs come on stream.
Yes.
Are we ready to start?
Yes, we are ready to start. We need the cooperation of Nigerians. We also need people to know the real story and the truth about the sector so that we can all do what is best to achieve electricity for this country. The goal should be for us to have uninterrupted power supply. But it's a journey. It's a very long journey. This is just the beginning of the journey. So we shouldn't make the mistake of thinking that, oh yes, the new tariff is coming, so you're going to have uninterrupted power supply. That won't happen now, and I'll tell you why. First, let's look at the reality. Nigeria has about 160 million people, the population. Nigeria currently generates approximately between 4,000 and 4,500 megawatts. In an ideal situation, in the developed world, you need to generate 1,000 megawatts for 1 million customers. Now, in the case of Nigeria, let's now say that may translate to mean 160,000 megawatts, but that's a tall order because we have so many people in the rural areas who are not connected to the grid. So we're not even talking about that. What we need in Nigeria to have uninterrupted power supply for those who are currently connected, minus those industries who are still generating their own power, is about 20,000 megawatts, which means we are generating less than 1/4 of what we need for now. But we cannot even proceed to achieve anything without having a kind of tariff that I will call a kind of market pricing, appropriate pricing of the tariff. So that if you have the appropriate pricing or the market pricing, what will happen is that you'll be able to recover your cost of operation. You'll be able to approach the financial institutions to lend money. And we are not reinventing the wheel. May I say here that this has happened in other countries, developing countries like us. Brazil, Peru, India, New Delhi in particular in India, has done this successfully. Chile, even back home, apart from the Republic of Georgia, back home near us, Kenya and Uganda have done the same thing. This is how it works. The tariff will go up in the first 2 years. By the third year, it will come down drastically. That's the way the system works.
Mr. Uduto, I'd like to cut here. I'd like to come in here because you seem to have made it seem like it's going to be very easy. Most Nigerians do not have an issue because the Minister of Power Works and Housing, Mr. Babatunde Fashola, has said that Nigerians will have to pay more if they want to get more electricity.
More. Exactly.
But you can only pay for what you can see. You can only pay for what you consume. So why do I have to pay tariffs for electricity that I have not consumed or even seen?
Thank you very much. That's a very interesting thing. And that's what we get to hear every time. The truth of the matter is that you cannot even see what you don't pay for. To see it, we have to be prepared to pay for it. And that is the brutal truth. And I'm sorry, unless we begin to have that culture of payment, it won't happen. And if I give you the average, the national average for the tariff currently, for all classes of tariff, put it together, the national average is about 22 naira, right? What is going to happen on average from February 1st is 36 naira on average across the board. So yes, it's an increase, but it's an increase that is very, very crucial at this moment.
Let's do the percentage of that. You have 22 naira, which was what everybody used to pay before
On average.
on average.
Yes.
The proposed increase is 36 naira by Monday on average. So what's the percentage of that?
Well, like I said, it varies from one location to the other. These things are not actually priced equally, even between Ikeja and Benin. The tariff structure is different, class by class. The one I'm even talking about is like the national average for the residential customers. And you look at the commercial and industrial customers. But the issue is not just about that. The issue is that why do we have to have a new tariff? We need to have a new tariff because the tariff that we have currently, which we've been having from time before privatization, is such a tariff that does not even cover the cost of operation. And if you are underselling a product, there's no way you can expand on that product.
The only way you can properly and adequately sell a product is when your consumer sees the product. So I see the product, I like the product, I pay for the product, I own that product. But if I don't see the product, you can't come and tell me that if I pay 5 naira, for instance, for a particular product that I haven't seen, that I don't even know if I'm going to like, it might serve whatever purpose for which I have paid for that product.
Okay, let me give you another example. We took over these businesses. These utility companies were privatized in November 2013, right? Even between last year and now, we have moved on from merely 2,000 megawatts to about 4,500 megawatts.
Which is commendable.
That is more than double.
But
that is an improvement.
But more could have been done.
But you also need to know, more could have been done by us, and more could have been done by the customers. First, the moment we had an increase in supply, it also led to an increase in non-payment. An increase in supply naturally should have led to an increase in revenue or collection. What happened is that people even had more supply, but they are not ready to pay for the supply. Not only that, there are a lot of customer issues. Yes, on our part, we have not done enough. And when we're talking about us, I want us to always remember the value chain. This is not about the discos. This is not about the distribution company. This is about the whole sector. The generation companies are there. The transmission companies are there before the distribution companies. And for us, we are just agents. We are collection agents because we can only distribute to your household what has been generated. And even this tariff that we're talking about, 60% of it is going to generation companies. They also have to pay the gas suppliers. Same thing, money has to go to the transmission company to be able to wield the power from the point of generation to the point of distribution. So it's a vicious cycle.
It's a vicious cycle.
If we don't pay, the distribution company only take 25% of every amount that's collected. And the problem is with both domestic customers, industrial customers, and in fact, the federal government, ministry, department, and agency. Federal government, state government, and local government. As at this morning, as at the end of December 2015, the totality of debts owed by the federal government of Nigeria with the state government and local government, including the ministries, departments, and agencies, comes to a total of about 58 billion naira as of now. And it's still mounting. And I have the breakdown. If you look at the breakdown, even state by state, what you will find, or disco by disco, what you will find is that where you have a big cantonment, like Ikeja, Eko, Ibadan, Kaduna, you see a huge debt. Or where you have big government departments, or government ministries, Like Abuja, they are owing more than over 8 billion naira.
Okay, so we'll talk
If
more
these things
about
are
this.
not paid,
We'll talk more
how
about
do we move forward?
those figures when
Yes.
we have them in our hands. We're looking at it and we can share it with our viewers. So it's not as if it's a conjecture.
I have
all right?
the figures.
So let's talk about one very critical issue to achieve this new tariff that is going to be implemented, which is the metering.
Exactly.
A lot of customers have complained that they don't have meters.
Yes.
But you want to go ahead with this new tariff. How does it affect those customers that don't have the meters? Let's answer that. The customers who don't have the meters.
The first thing I need to let you know is that even for those customers to have meters, for us to bridge the metering gap, we need the new tariff. And what do I mean? You see, we have about 5 million metering gap in this country as I speak. And how did that happen? Because the sector has been neglected for the last 50 years. In the last 30 years, so many things has happened. One, when you build a new house, in those days, and you call on NEPA to come and connect you. You are supposed to call NEPA to come and connect you. What Nigerians do is that they call the electrician on the road, by the roadside, to come and do their own connection, which is illegal. But even when you call NEPA to come and connect you, they are supposed to come to your house on that day with a meter. And this has not been done for several years. So the entities were now privatized just over 2 years ago, and we're expected to do the magic. The technology does not even allow for that. First of all, let's talk about cost. Now we're going for smart meters. On average, it costs between 39 and 40,000 naira each. That's the wholesale cost. Now, 5 billion meters, you can't get that done in 2 years. That's not possible. On average, yes, we can do, each disco can do an average of 20,000 meters every month. And we're doing that. But like I said, until you get to your doorstep or your street or your area, you don't even know that it is happening. Where we are now is under Ikeja Disco. If you go to Magodo, you begin to see meters on the pole everywhere. Beneath Disco, where we have even so many militants, they have the highest installation of meters. Their metering is so aggressive. But people are not, a lot of people are not seeing that, because until it comes to their own communities, on their own area, they will be telling you that it has not been done.
But even with all these connections, like
Yes.
you said, when you move to a new house, you call PHCN
Yes.
to come and put in your smart meter. There are some individuals who have actually done that and still have challenges. They still have issues of estimated bills brought to their house, even when you have a smart meter. For some houses, for some individuals who have actually paid for this meter, they give them the timeline of 6 months to come and collect your meter, and then they don't get it after 6 months. And in this period, they still continue to get estimated billing. Even when you pay the previous one, it still comes back the same way. So if I have a house that has 3 rooms in it, are you telling me that I consume, for instance, 50,000 naira every month? If, for instance, I live alone in that house, but it's 3 rooms?
Well, ideally, such things ought not to happen. Even the issue of estimated billing, it is not a normal thing in a normal country. But we are not in a normal country. But I tell you something.
We're in a normal country. It's just that situations make it seem as if it's not normal. No, we are in a normal country. No.
Because I'm saying that...
Mr. Oduto, for the record, I would state that we are in a normal country.
Okay.
It's just that sometimes our actions seems to make it seem that way.
Abnormalities.
Okay.
Because when you have people stealing energy every day, right, left, and center, what happens is that the faithful one, who are known to the system, but who happen to be living in the neighborhood of the thieves, or you have somebody who have a meter, prepaid meter, and prepaid meters are bypassed so much. If somebody has a prepaid meter and he has bypassed it such that he has connected all his appliances like air conditioners directly, the next door neighbor, who is on estimated billing, is the one paying for the person.
So we'll come back.
Know that.
We'll come back and we'll continue this conversation so that we'll have a clearer understanding and a clearer sense of why Nigerians should be excited that a new tariff begins on Monday. The conversation with Sunday Oduton, who is the Executive Director, Association of Nigerian Electricity Distributors, continues after now.